Rafiqul Islam was a simple man from a quiet village. He was not born blind. In fact, he once lived a bright, peaceful life as the only primary school teacher in the area. His students adored him, and he loved them just as much. But 10 years ago, everything changed. On a stormy night, while returning home on his bicycle, the road became slippery. He fell violently onto a sharp iron rod, and that one accident stole his sight forever. The doctors were clear he would never see again. For Rafiqul, the worst part wasn't losing the world around him. It was losing the ability to see the faces of those he loved. He had no one except his little daughter. She was only 7 at the time. He used to do everything for her. But the moment darkness swallowed his eyes, he felt as if the inner light inside him was dying. Even though he couldn't see her anymore, he held Shiuli close, feeling her small hands, her breath, her quiet sobs. In those moments, he realized that he could either give up or learn to live again for his daughter. And so he made a promise to himself. No matter how deep the darkness became, he would keep fighting. Life without sight was harsh. Even the simplest things, walking, cooking, fetching water, became battles. Many villagers offered help, but Rafiqul was a man of pride. He didn't want pity. Still, he had to accept the truth: life would never be the same. The village respected him as a teacher. People tried to make his life easier, but Rafiqul knew that the responsibility of raising his daughter was ultimately his. He wanted Shiuli to grow up strong, educated, and kind. That became his only dream. After going blind, he could no longer teach. He received a small disability allowance from the government. To see this debt, he worked at a local stationery shop, keeping accounts. Though he couldn't see, his fingers had learned to recognize the shapes of numbers, and his mind had developed a sharp memory. People often said, he may not see with his eyes, but he sees with his heart. Shiuli was growing too. She was kind, hardworking, brilliant in school. Yet deep inside her, a silent ache lived. Her father couldn't walk her to class like other fathers. He couldn't watch her recite, play, or smile from a distance. Sometimes, she would sit quietly beside him without saying a word. Rafiqul would gently touch her hair and ask, "Why are you so quiet, my child?" She would smile and whisper, "Nothing, Baba, I'm just looking at you." And every time she said that, Rafiqul felt a sting in his chest because he could never look back at her. Yet through her voice, her touch, he felt he could still see her in ways no one else could. Every evening, when the air turned cool, Shiuli would hold his hand and guide him on long walks through the village. Rafiqul called these walks his evening light. He said that though he couldn't see the world, he could feel it through the warmth of his daughter's hand. But behind those peaceful moments was a harsh reality. Money was tight. The allowance and small shop work barely covered their food. Many nights, Rafiqul would skip dinner so that Shiuli could eat. He would drink some water and pretend he wasn't hungry. At night, he would pray softly, "God, don't give me back my eyes. Just give my daughter an easier life." But destiny often tests the strongest hearts. One evening, Shiuli came home silently and sat beside him. Rafiqul gently touched her head. "Why are you sad, my child?" Shiuli tried to speak, but her voice trembled. "Baba, today at school, the other kids said something. They said you can't work properly, that a blind man's daughter can't achieve anything. They laughed at me." Rafiqul froze. His throat tightened. For a moment he couldn't speak. He simply held her hand tightly and whispered, "Shiuli, being blind is not a shame. Giving up is the only shame." Tears rolled down her cheeks, falling onto his shoulder. And though he couldn't see, his own eyes filled with unseen tears. That night, both father and daughter sat in silence, two souls holding on to each other in a world that often judged them too quickly. Yet even in that darkness, a faint light still glowed, the light of Shiuli's dreams and Rafiqul's unbreakable love. The next few weeks passed quietly, but the silence was heavy, almost suffocating. After the incident at school, something in Shiuli had changed. She tried her best to smile, to act normal, but Rafiqul could sense every tremble in her breath, every hesitation in her voice. He may have been blind, but when it came to his daughter, he could see more than anyone else. One morning, as he sat on the porch tracing the wooden patterns of the old chair, he heard slow footsteps approaching. Shiuli had woken up early, but her steps lacked their usual lightness. "Did you sleep well, Bob?" she asked softly, placing a cup of tea beside him. He smiled. "I don't need to see your face to know you didn't sleep." "Tell me what's wrong." Shiuli sighed. "Nothing. I'm just thinking about school." Rafiko reached for her hand. "My child, if you ever feel small because of me, then I have failed as your father." Immediately, Shiuli shook her head. "No, Baba. You're the strongest person I know. It's just, I wish life was easier for you." Her words cut into his heart like a blade. He pulled her into his arms, letting her cry quietly. Outside, the morning sun rose, but inside their small home, the air felt cold. Later that week, Rafiko went to the stationery shop where he kept accounts. The shopkeeper, Karim, was a good man, but business was not going well. Sales had dropped, and Karim was struggling to pay his workers. Seeing the shop in such trouble, Rafiko worried that his small income might disappear too. Ebenin, Karim hesitated before speaking. "Brother Rafiko, I may not be able to keep you next month. I can't even pay my regular workers." Rafiko nodded slowly. He had already sensed it. "It's okay, Karim. You've helped me enough." Karim's voice cracked. "If things get better, I swear I'll call you back." Rafiko smiled sadly. No. Walking back home guided by a stick and the memories of familiar paths, he felt the earth trembling under his feet. What would he tell Shiuli? How would he provide for her? When he reached home, he sat alone in the darkness. Though the lamp beside him was lit, he felt useless, powerless and afraid. A few days later, Shiuli returned home from school with excitement in her voice for the first time in weeks. "Baba! There's a scholarship exam for Class 8 students. My teacher said if I do well, the school will give me a full scholarship. I won't need extra tuition money, and they'll help with books too." Rafiko felt his chest warm. "That is wonderful news, my child. You will do amazing. But, Baba," she continued hesitantly, "I'll need a registration fee. It's not a lot, but..." Rafiko didn't let her finish. "I will arrange it." Inside, he panicked. With no job and almost no savings left, arranging even a small amount felt impossible. But he would rather starve than deprive his daughter of a chance. That night, after Shiuli fell asleep, he sat outside on the bamboo platform, touching the rough edges. He quietly reached inside his pocket and took out an old wallet. Inside it were only 2 crumpled notes. He folded them carefully, tears slipping from his eyes. "God, give me the strength to carry this burden," he whispered. The next morning, he walked to the market, tapping his stick on the ground. People greeted him warmly. Some offered help, but he politely declined. He wanted to do things himself, whatever little he could. Eventually, he walked into a small workshop where he once helped repair old books. The owner, an elderly man named Bashir, recognized him. "Rafiko, how are you, brother?" Rafiko took a deep breath. "Brother Bashir, I need work. Anything. Any small task you can give." Bashir sighed heavily. "I wish I could help, but business has been slow. I barely afford my own costs." Just when Rafiko turned to leave, Bashir stopped him. "Wait. I have some old books that need binding. It's not much, but it might help." Rafiko felt a wave of relief. "Thank you. Truly." Using his fingers to feel the pages and covers, he worked slowly but carefully. His hands shook. At first, he had not done this in years, but the rhythm eventually returned. Bashir watched in quiet admiration. "You work better blind than many do with sight," he murmured. Rafiko smiled softly. "Maybe because I don't see the flaws. Or maybe," Bashir said gently, "you feel the world deeper than the rest of us." When Rafiko walked home with a small payment in his pocket, he felt a spark of hope. It wasn't enough, but it was something, and something was better than nothing. That evening, Shiuli sat beside him as he rested. "Baba, I want to tell you something." He turned his head. Yes, my child. I don't want you to work so hard because of me. I just want you to be happy. He touched her face gently. My happiness lives inside you. Every step you take forward, every dream you chase, that is my joy. Shiuli leaned against him, closing her eyes. Then I will chase every dream, Baba, for both of us. But deep inside, neither of them knew that their struggles were far from over. Life had one more test, waiting, one that would shake their world completely. The following days were filled with quiet determination. Rafiko worked every afternoon at Bashir's workshop, binding old books, repairing torn pages, stitching loose covers. His fingers moved slowly but steadily, each movement driven by the thought of Shiuli's future. Though the pay was small, he saved every coin in a small clay jar hidden under their bed. Shiuli, meanwhile, studied harder than ever. She spent long nights reading under a dim lantern, solving math problems, memorizing paragraphs, and practicing essays. Sometimes Rafiko would wake to the soft rustle of pages. My child, he would whisper, sleep. Your health matters too. But she always answered the same, just a little more, Baba, for the scholarship. And he would smile proudly, though a part of him hurt, knowing she was working so hard because their life demanded it. One evening, as they sat outside after dinner, a sudden cough shook Rafiko's chest deep, painful, persistent. Shiuli looked up immediately. Baba, are you okay? I'm fine, he said, clearing his throat. Just tired. But the cough continued over the next few days, sometimes so harsh that he had to grip the side of the bed to hold himself steady. He hid it as much as possible, not wanting to worry Shiuli during such an important time. Still, Shiuli noticed everything. Baba, we should see a doctor, she said. We don't have money for that, he replied gently. We have to save for your exam. Her eyes filled with guilt, and he hurried to reassure her. Don't worry, it's nothing serious, maybe just the weather. But inside, Rafiko knew something wasn't right. His chest felt heavy, his breaths shorter. A sharp pain stabbed his ribs whenever he bent down, but he endured it like he had endured everything else. One afternoon at the workshop, he had a coughing fit so intense that Bashir rushed to hold him. Rafiko, sit down. He struggled to breathe, gripping the edge of the table until the world stopped spinning. My friend, this is not just a cough, Bashir said gravely. You need a checkup? Rafiko shook his head. I can't afford it. My daughter's exam is next month. Bashir stared at him for a long moment. Your daughter needs you alive more than she needs that exam. The words pierced him, but he said nothing. He continued working, though his hands trembled. Meanwhile, at school, Shiuli was facing new challenges. Some classmates mocked her quietly, whispering behind her back. She studies so hard because her father is blind. She thinks she'll win the scholarship? Impossible. What can a girl like her achieve? Each word felt like a stone thrown at her heart. She tried to ignore them, but their voices echoed everywhere in the classroom, on the playground, even in her dreams. Her teacher, Miss Farzana, noticed her distress. Shiuli, she said gently one day, you're one of my brightest students. Don't let the world's cruelty dim your light. With tears in her eyes, Shiuli whispered, sometimes it feels like I'm fighting alone. You're not alone, Farzana replied softly. And your father, he's fighting with you, even in the dark. Those words gave her strength. She studied harder, pushing herself beyond her limits. But she didn't know that back home, her father was slowly falling apart. One night, while Shiuli was practicing math, Rafiko stepped outside to cough quietly so she wouldn't hear. But the cough worsened, forcing him to lean against the bamboo wall. His vision, already dark, seemed to spin a fell dizzy. Cold sweat covered his forehead.
Baba.
Shiuli's voice suddenly cut through the night. Rafiko quickly straightened. I'm fine, my child. But she could hear the strain in his voice. She ran to him and held his arm. Baba, you're sick. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to worry you, but I'm always worried, she cried. I can't study thinking you're suffering. He touched her face gently. "Don't cry." "I'm okay." But she wasn't convinced. "Tomorrow, we're going to the clinic. I'll speak to teacher Farzana. Maybe she can help." "No," he said firmly, though his voice was weak. "I don't want you asking for money. We will handle it ourselves." Shiuli looked at him with trembling eyes. "Baba, what if it gets worse?" His silence answered her question. The next morning, before dawn, Rafiqul quietly left home. He didn't want Shiuli to know where he was going. He walked slowly, each step painful, until he reached the government clinic. He waited nearly 2 hours before a doctor saw him. After listening to his chest and taking some tests, the doctor's voice became serious. "You have a severe lung infection," he said. "It needs treatment immediately. Without it, things may worsen." "How much will the treatment cost?" Rafiqul asked quietly. The doctor told him, and at that moment, Rafiqul felt his world crumble. The amount was far more than he had saved, far more than he could ever arrange. He walked home slowly, his stick tapping against the earth, each tap echoing his fear. When he reached home, Shiuli ran to him. "Baba, where were you?" "I was so scared." He forced a smile. "I just went for a walk." But the truth sat heavy in his chest. He was sick, very sick, and he had no way to save himself. Yet, he kept the pain locked inside, because he knew he had to stay strong for one more reason. Shuli's scholarship exam was only 3 weeks away, and he refused to let anything, not even his own failing body, stand in her way. One evening, after dinner, Rafiqul called Shuli to sit beside him on the bamboo porch. The moonlight spread across the yard, soft and pale, while a cool breeze rustled the trees. "My child," he said softly, "promise me something." "What?" "Baba, whatever happens, you will sit for your exam." Shiuli frowned. "Why are you talking like this? Nothing will happen." He smiled faintly. "Life doesn't always warn us before changing." She shook her head and leaned on his shoulder. "You just need rest. Once you recover, we'll both be fine." But Rafiqul's body felt weaker each day. The pain in his chest had become sharp and constant. Even breathing felt like carrying a mountain. He knew his condition was worsening quickly, but he continued working at Bashir's workshop, refusing to stop, because that scholarship fee, that tiny amount, felt like the key to his daughter's future. The night before the exam, Shiuli packed her books carefully. Her hands trembled slightly, but she whispered to herself, "You can do this. You must." Rafiqul, lying on the bed, listened to her footsteps. His vision was dark, but his mind filled with Imagishili walking into the exam hall, confidently, answering every question, proving the world wrong. But deep inside, a fear gnawed at him. What if I'm not there to see her future? Even through darkness, he pushed the thought away. He had to be strong. Just one more day. The dawn of the exam day arrived with an uneasy silence. Roosters crowed in the distance, but the morning felt cold and heavy. Shuli dressed in her cleanest uniform, old, but neatly pressed. She braided her hair carefully, took her admit card, and came to her father's bedside. "Baba, I'm ready." Rafiqul reached out and touched her face, tracing it gently with his fingers, memorizing every little detail. "My brave girl," he whispered. "Go and shine." She hugged him tightly. "Pray for me." "I always do." But as she stepped outside, he felt a sudden, stabbing pain shoot across his chest. He gripped the edge of the bed, struggling for breath, fighting back a groan. He couldn't collapse, not today, not when she needed her faith the most. Shuli walked to school with her friends, but her heart was heavy. She kept thinking about her father, his cough, his tired voice, his pale face. Her friend Nasima noticed. "Why do you look so worried?" "It's going to be fine." Shuli nodded weakly but said nothing. At school, the teachers encouraged the students. Miss Fazana walked up to her and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You've worked harder than anyone," she whispered. "Just stay. Come. You'll do wonderfully." Shiuli forced a smile. But miles away, Something terrible was happening. Rafiqul tried to stand up from the bed. His goal was simple: walk to the porch, sit there, and wait for Shiuli to return with good news. But the moment he stood, his legs buckled and he collapsed to the floor. A sharp, tearing pain ripped through his chest. His breath became shallow, fast, desperate, like he was drowning in air. He clawed at the floor, trying to reach his cane. Shiuli, he gasped. No one heard him. He tried again, but his body wouldn't obey. The world around him felt like a spinning void, dark, silent, suffocating, and then everything faded. At that exact moment, Shiuli sat inside the exam hall, staring at the first question on the paper. She had prepared well. She could have answered it easily, but her mind refused to focus. Something felt wrong, terribly wrong. Her hands turned cold, her pencil slipped from her fingers. Her heart raced as an invisible fear tightened around her chest. A voice inside her whispered, "Baba needs you." She tried to ignore it. She tried to breathe, but the worry kept getting louder. So loud she could hear nothing else. Tears pooled in her eyes. "Baba," she whispered under her breath. Her teacher noticed her shaking. "Shiuli, are you all right?" She couldn't answer. Suddenly, she pushed back her chair and stood up. "I need to go home." The teacher rushed to her. "The exam. You can't leave. Baba is alone," she cried. "I need to go." Before anyone could stop her, she ran out of the classroom. Her breath breaking, her tears blurring her vision, her feet pounding against the ground. Her friends called after her. Teachers shouted, but she heard nothing. Only one thought filled her mind. "I have to reach Baba." She ran faster, her school bag bouncing painfully against her back, sweat and tears mixing on her face. Turning the last corner toward their small house, she felt her heart stop. The front door was open, and everything inside was frighteningly silent. Too silent? "Baba," she whispered with a trembling voice. No answer. She stepped inside, and what she saw made her world collapse. Shiuli froze in the doorway, her breath stuck in her throat. At first, she saw only the dim light of the small room. Then her eyes fell on the floor and she saw her father lying there, motionless. "Be Baba." Her voice cracked like broken glass. She stumbled forward, dropping her school bag, almost falling beside him. She touched his hand. It was cold, frighteningly cold. His chest rose only slightly, as if he were breathing through a thread. "Baba, please wake up," she cried, shaking him gently. Rafiqul's lips moved, but no sound came, only a faint, broken exhale. His skin felt pale, drained of life. Panic surged through her. Her father, the strongest person she knew, looked helpless, fragile, fading. "Somebody help," she screamed, rushing outside. Her voice echoed through the village lanes. Within minutes, neighbors ran toward the house. Karim Bai, the shopkeeper, arrived first. "What happened?" he asked urgently. I went to school, and when I came home, he's not moving," Shiuli sobbed. Karim knelt beside Rafiqul, placing a hand on his chest. His face darkened with worry. "He's burning with fever," he murmured, "and is breathing. This isn't good." Shiuli clasped her hands tightly, her nails digging into her skin. "We have to take him to the clinic," she cried. "We will," Karim said, trying to stay calm. "Let me call a rickshaw." But the nearest clinic was 3 kilometers away, and time felt like sand slipping too fast. Within minutes, a rickshaw arrived. Neighbors lifted Rafiqul gently, placing him inside. Shiuli climbed into the rickshaw beside him, holding his hand firmly. "Stay with me, Baba," she whispered desperately. "Please, don't leave me." His fingers twitched, barely holding her back. As the rickshaw rattled down the bumpy road, every jolt felt like a race against death. The wind whipped past them, carrying dust, leaves, and Shiuli's silent tears. "Faster," she begged. "Please, faster." The rickshaw puller pedaled with all his strength. At the clinique, a nurse rushed them inside after seeing Rafiqul's condition. They placed him on a bed. The doctor from the previous visit recognized him immediately. "You again?" the doctor said sharply. "You should have come days ago. His infection has worsened dangerously." Shuli grabbed the doctor's sleeve. "Please, save him. He didn't tell me he was sick." The doctor sighed, softening. "We will do our best, but it's serious." They inserted an oxygen tube. Rafiqul's chest moved with difficulty. His face looked drained, his breathing uneven. "Will he be okay?" she whispered. The doctor didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said, "He needs strong medication, injections, and possibly a hospital transfer." Shuli wiped her tears with shaking hands. "How much will it cost?" The doctor hesitated before mentioning an amount. Shuli's heart dropped. It was everything they didn't have. Her father's life was being weighed against money they could never afford. She stepped outside the ward, collapsing onto the bench, sobbing into her hands. Karim came to her. "Child, don't lose hope. We don't have money," she cried. "He worked so hard for my exam. He didn't even care about himself. And now, he might." Her voice broke, unable to finish. Karim placed the hand on her shoulder. "I will speak to some people. We'll arrange something," but his words felt like distant echoes. She knew the truth. Everyone in the village was struggling. Help would be small, slow, uncertain. Time was what they didn't have. Inside the ward, Rafiqul stirred slightly. His fingers twitched weakly. Shuli rushed to his side, holding his hand tightly. "Baba, I'm here," she whispered. He slowly turned his face toward her voice. "My child," he breathed out in a raspy whisper. Tears streamed down Shuli's face. "You should have told me you were sick." He gave a fragile smile. "You had to study. Your exam?" "I don't care about the exam," she cried. "I care about you." He raised his trembling hand to her cheek. "Shuli, listen to me." His voice cracked, each word costing him effort. "You must not stop. Not stop. You must keep moving forward." "But both of us know," she whispered fiercely. "I'm not leaving you." He squeezed her hand faintly. "You're stronger than you think. I always knew." A sudden coughing fit shook him violently. Nurses rushed in. "Please wait outside," one said gently, guiding Shuli out. She stood at the door, watching helplessly as they tried to stabilize him. Her legs shook. Her heart pounded painfully. Her mind screamed only one thing. "Please, God, don't take my Baba." Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the doctor stepped out. "How is he?" Shuli asked immediately. The doctor looked at her with heavy eyes. "He's very weak. His lungs are failing. Without immediate hospital care, I'm afraid we might lose him." Shuli felt the world tilt beneath her feet. "Lose him? No, no." She couldn't breathe. She clutched the wall to steady herself. "My Baba can't die," she whispered. "He just can't." But deep inside, she felt a terrifying truth. The world around Shuli felt silent, too silent. The doctor's words echoed endlessly inside her head. Without immediate hospital care, we might lose him. Lose him. Lose her father, her only family. Her entire world. She sank onto the wooden bench outside the clinic, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Tears streamed down her cheeks, blurring everything. She pressed her palms against her face, trying to steady her breath, but her chest felt tight, as if someone had tied a rope around her ribs. "Baba," she whispered, her voice breaking. Karim sat beside her. His face held worry, but also a quiet determination. "Listen to me, child," he said gently. "We will collect money. I'll go door to door, Others will help too. But there's no time. Se. Soved. He's getting worse every minute. Karim had no answer. He only placed a hand on her shoulder. Inside the ward, Rafiqul lay still, his breaths shallow. Every rise and fall of his chest felt like a fragile thread ready to snap at any moment. His eyes remained closed, but his fingers twitched occasionally, reaching out into the emptiness around him. He was searching for the hand he always trusted, for the voice that kept him alive, for the world he could no longer see, but could always feel. A nurse approached the bench and kneeled beside Shuli. "You haven't eaten all day," she said softly. "You need strength too." "I'm not hungry," Shuli whispered. The nurse sighed. "You can't help him if you collapse." But Shuli shook her head stubbornly. How could she think about eating when her father was fighting for every breath? Minutes passed. Hours felt like days. More villagers arrived, some with concern, some with small offerings of money, even if it was only 10 or 20 taka. Old women who barely had enough for themselves pressed coins into Shuli's hands. Men who struggled to feed their families still came forward to help. "Your father taught our children," one man said. "He helped us all. Now it's our turn." But even with everyone's help, the amount they collected was far from enough. Shuli looked at the money in her trembling hands. It wasn't enough to save a life. It wasn't enough to stop time. It wasn't enough to change fate. Her chest tightened painfully. What do I do now? As dusk settled, Miss Farzana rushed into the clinic. Her dapata fluttered behind her as she hurried toward Shuli. "I heard everything," she said, kneeling in front of her. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I didn't know what to do," Shuli cried. "He needs a hospital!" They said it's urgent. Miss Farzana grabbed her hands. "Listen to me. I will help. I will talk to the school authorities, and we will arrange money. We'll also contact a local charity group." Shuli's eyes widened with desperate hope. "Really?" "Yes," Farzana said firmly. "Your father will not be alone in this fight." For the first time that day, Shuli felt a tiny spark. Inside her, a spark of hope fighting its way through darkness. But the night had not finished testing her. As they began arrangements, a nurse rushed out of the ward. "Where is his daughter?" she called urgently. Shuli shut up. "I'm here. Come quickly." Her heart dropped. She ran inside, her shoes slipping on the polished floor. When she reached her father's bed, she froze. Rafiqul was gasping, his chest rising unevenly, his breaths sharp and unstable. His body trembled. His hands searched blindly across the blanket. "Baba!" Shuli cried, rushing to his side and grabbing his hand. "I'm here. I'm here." He turned his head slightly, recognizing the warmth of her touch. "Shuli," he whispered, his voice barely audible. She burst into tears. "Please stay with me. Please don't leave." His fingers curled weakly around hers. "I promised I would see you shine," he murmured. "Don't let darkness stop you, Baba. I don't care about anything," she sobbed. "I just want you." He gave a soft, broken smile. "You are my light," he whispered. Suddenly, his body jerked with a violent cough. The monitor beside him began to beep rapidly. "Doctor," the nurse shouted. A team rushed in, surrounding the bed. "His oxygen is dropping. Prepare the injection. Hold him steady." Shuli was pushed back gently as the medical staff worked frantically. Tears blurred her vision. Her knees shook. Her hands clutched her own chest as if trying to keep her heart from shattering. "Please save him," she whispered over and over. "Please. He's all I have." The doctor shouted instructions. Nurses moved quickly, but the beeping grew, more erratic, more desperate, more frightening. The room felt heavy-like. The air itself was holding its breath. Suddenly the monitor gave one long, continuous beep. A horrifying sound, a sound that froze Shuli's blood. "No," she whispered, trembling violently. "No? No? No? No, please. The doctor leaned over Rafiqul, trying again. But he looked up slowly. His eyes held sorrow and defeat. Sorry. Shiuli felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Her voice broke. Her world collapsed. Baba! A cry shattered the quiet clinic. She fell to her knees beside the bed, gripping his cold hand, refusing to let go. Don't leave me, she whispered, her whole body shaking. Please, please, don't leave me. But the darkness that had taken Rafiqul's sight had now taken his life. And in that moment, the world became darker for a little girl who had already seen far too much pain.